Okay, we'll get started here in just a moment. I know a few of the Bell people are putting things away for the last moment, but we'll go over some guidelines for plant materials around rights of way of utilities. So we're getting into that time of year that we may see something like this in those pictures of trees falling down, taking power lines down. So kind of good. I'll talk about safety once they're down towards the end. So go ahead, next slide. So yeah, I pulled all these from the Core Electric Cooperative. And, you know, we heard from the fire department on what they expect, but go to the next one. Those big, next slide, please. Those big lines that go over, that are delivering a long ways. Well, we know in our house we get 120 or 220 volts. Those actually carry 44,000 volts. And I went to an actual visual presentation at the fire department in Guffey, and they had a substation set up, and they just touched a rod between the top and bottom lines, and blue flames shot out like this. And then they had a mannequin standing there, and his fingers were hot dogs, his head was a watermelon, and his heart was a pomegranate. And they showed if those lines touched him. And all those things cooked or burst. So it's like, don't want nothing to do with them. Anyway, as far as planting, you're not going to put any trees in a right-of-way. And in a right-of-way, you can have ground cover, you can have flower beds, everything all the way up to the base of the poles. But no, if they do maintenance or have to fix it, and they get crushed by their equipment, they're not going to replace them. So you might want to be selective of what you put there. Or don't be too attached to those plants. Next one. Yeah. Keep going. So you can plant trees, but they can't be ones that are going to get bigger than 10 feet. And you say, well, which ones only grow that big? And we don't have that many choices up here anyway. So they had a whole list, but you know, Core also serves all of the Colorado Springs and everything. So they had a whole big list of all these trees that you could and couldn't do, but it's like, it's kind of pointless here. So basically stay with at least 20 feet horizontally from the lines, and just keep trees out of there, just flat out. And once again, you can do shrubs and ground covers and flower beds, but they run over them, don't get upset. Don't go to their complaint line. So then, any of you have underground power distribution at your place? Like, well, we got it here at the church. We've got this big gray box out here. So this next has to do with that. You got to keep plants and trees at least 10 feet away from those areas. And then like this big gray box out here. You got the diagram you can pull up, Sandy? It's up a couple. It should be forward from this. Okay, there we go. So imagine this big gray box that's out here, and it's got opening doors. On the sides, you can plant up to within 3 feet of it. But on the ends, you got to keep it open 10 feet. So anything there. And we keep in mind, too, when we do snow removal out here, to keep that open. Because like when we got that 4 feet of snow this last spring, it'd be kind of bad if they couldn't get into it if they needed to. Because we have had a mishap even once of a vehicle backing into it and almost knocking it off the pad. So they need access to it when they need to get to it. Okay, next one after that. So what's my responsibility as a homeowner? Biggest thing is, other than telling you where not to plant the trees and everything, but you're the one responsible for reporting obstructions on the secondary lines, which means the line that goes from the road to your house. You know, they're the ones that are maintaining all the main big power lines, and they will still take care of yours, but you got to let them know. And sometimes an obstruction can look like visible tension. Like I had a tree fall over on one and it was just leaning on it, but don't want to leave it there. And sometimes you'll notice, well, that tree looks like it's far enough, but now it's dead. And I don't know when the wind's going to blow it over. So it might be one of the things, be proactive, give them a call, let them know so they can come in and clean it up. So Corps' responsibility is for trimming around the main primary lines. They're the ones going pole to pole, and that's the high voltage ones. And there's only certain kinds of crews that can actually do those ones. I mean, they're specially trained because, like I said, 44,000 volts, and it takes 0.2 amps to kill a person. And if you take volts times, it doesn't take very much. So you don't want to have any kind of a dealing with them. And you want to make sure your kids or grandkids or nephews or nieces, make them smart to stay away from them. Never climb around them, and don't fly kites around them and model aircraft, and just good to leave them away from it. So, and there's a number. If you see something, just call them. Don't assume a line is hot, whether it is or isn't. Keep going. Okay, we'll discuss downed lines. Okay, next one. Yeah, what do you do if a power line falls in your car? You get in a wreck, you run into a pole or something. Like I said, if the wire's down, just assume it's live. Sometimes they'll jump around and arc like a snake and everything, or sometimes they'll just lay there, but you don't know the difference. If you're in an accident, unless it's going to blow up, you got flames coming out, and I guess what are you going to do? You're either going to burn up or you're going to get shocked, I don't know. But as a rule, you stay put, call 911. Even the emergency crews cannot touch your car until the power company cuts that power. They verify it. Because they had, when I went to that training, they had, one guy, it fell on the car, it was at a company, and he went to get out, and he was holding on to the metal of the frame, and another guy came to help him and touched it, and both of them, it didn't turn out good for either one of them. So just stay in it if you can. If, like I said, if it's on fire or something like that, and you got to get out of there, if you do, you got to really think this out. Can you open that door, turn your body, don't touch anything, and both feet jump to land at the same time? As long as they're all the same potential, you're not touching metal, but realize there are waves of electricity going out in that. Like throw a pebble in a pond and you see those ripples go up. So they also explain these ripples, if you go like this from one to the next, you can get electrocuted. So you got to do a bunny hop all the way away from that thing for about 30 feet. It's a big decision, but like I said, if your car is going to burning and exploding, at least there's something maybe you can do. My head's ringing. My grandson trying to get a hold of me too early. He's in Japan. He's having problems with the difference in hours. So anyway, just biggest thing, if you see someone else in a car that's down, don't go and try and help them. Stay at least 30 feet away from it, call for help. I know your heart's in the right place, but your heart's going to explode maybe if you don't do the right thing. So anyway, any questions on those? I said 120 volts to your house and just 2 amps or 0.2 amps can kill you. Imagine what these big power lines could do to you. That grapefruit that was where the heart was, it just burst. It wasn't pretty. So be safe, don't do nothing with them. Call 911, let them do it. And then if you get them on your power lines, trees on them and stuff, don't you go and try and take care of it. let the people that get paid the big bucks for it and are trained for it. So keep yourself safe. Thank you.